over $76 billion in revenue, establishing itself as the undisputed leader in the mobile phone market. However, this story of success is not just filled with triumphs alone. In the years that followed, Nokia experienced a steep decline, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy as executives departed from the company. Revenues took a hit, and it lost its dominant position in the market. Even after this collapse, the company found a way to reinvent itself, and although many believe it's gone bankrupt, Nokia is still operational, generating billions of dollars in revenue. However, the question remains, how could a giant that once dominated the cell phone world collapse so swiftly? Who triggered its downfall? In this video, you'll learn how one person contributed to Nokia's fall and how it reinvented itself to return to the tech market. Nokia was established way back in the year 1865 in Finland, with a focus on telecommunications and technology. By the conclusion of the 90s, Nokia had risen to become the largest manufacturer of cell phones globally, surpassing major companies in the market, and it secured its position at the top for over a decade. Nokia became the reigning queen of cell phones, and no matter where you traveled in the world, you would encounter someone holding a Nokia model in their hands, as they were the most popular mobile phones during that era. It even holds the record for being the best-selling cell phone of all time, which is the Nokia 1100 model. This model sold an impressive 255 million units globally. As cell phones gained popularity, Nokia expanded significantly. For several years, it was accountable for selling half of all cell phones sold globally. Back in the year 1996, the company's revenue was US $75 billion. By the time 2008 came around, it had reached its highest point with an astounding US $76 billion in revenue. In the early 2000s, Nokia held 30% of the cell phone market, with Motorola as its main rival. Despite its market dominance, an event occurred that directly affected Nokia, leading to its decline soon after. In 2007, another brand held a press conference, unveiling a new product that would transform the industry and particularly impact Nokia's future. The brand in question was none other than Apple, which was unveiling its very first iPhone. Once it hit the market, Apple's latest product quickly captured significant attention from both the public and rival brands. This was largely due to its stark contrast with Nokia's traditional models, which had dominated sales up to that point. The iPhone boasted a more sophisticated design and provided a distinctive user experience, being considerably faster than the other phones available. Furthermore, it introduced changes that completely revolutionized the market, including the introduction of the touchscreen. Back then, this was considered quite revolutionary and groundbreaking. Smartphone models were a fresh addition to the market, which implied that Nokia could have adjusted and developed new cell phone models to align with market trends. Yet this is not what occurred. It was revealed through some leaked internal company reports that Nokia wasn't giving significant importance to the iPhone's launch, and they weren't concerned in the slightest. On the contrary, they believed that the iPhone was merely a passing trend, considering it was a costly phone to produce, which made the selling price even higher. Furthermore, Nokia engineers argued that the iPhone wouldn't survive the drop test. The reality is that Nokia truly believed the iPhone was just a niche product that wouldn't win over the general public. Not to mention, at that time, Nokia was already a well-established company in the market, renowned for the durability and reliability of its products, because it was a trusted company. However, alongside the innovations, the public's taste was evolving, shifting towards new models and brands of cell phones. The public gradually started distancing themselves from Nokia's traditional cell phones, showing a preference for more modern options, such as iPhones. Consequently, Nokia observed its consumers migrating towards smartphones. The introduction of iPhones, along with other smartphones from various brands, brought about a significant transformation in the industry. In the year 2008, HTC, in collaboration with Google, introduced the HTC Dream. This was the very first cell phone to feature the Android operating system. Around this time, Nokia came to the realization that it might have underestimated the impact of the iPhone. The company recognized the necessity to implement strategic changes, as other companies were launching their own smartphones to compete directly with Apple. It was during this period that Nokia released its first smartphone, the N97. This device boasted a 5-megapixel camera equipped with LED flash and featured a touchscreen interface. It had a sliding keyboard, 32 gigabytes of storage, larger than the iPhone at the time, a GPS system, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Nokia had strong confidence in its latest launch and believed that the N97 would be a major success. Yet, the reality turned out to be quite different from what they had envisioned. The public didn't find the phone particularly appealing, and to complicate things further, it experienced some issues with its touchscreen. Additionally, a downside was its operating system, Symbian, which offered only a limited number of compatible applications. In contrast, the iPhone's iOS system already boasted over 100 applications available in the Apple Store. All these factors combined made the M97 a complete failure. At this point, Nokia realized major changes were needed to avoid bankruptcy. Nokia missed the right moment to launch its smartphone, lagging behind competitors. But don't waste time on those already dollarizing their assets. That is precisely why a fantastic option in this situation is to open up an international account with Nomad, who is the sponsor of changes and potentially rescue the company. Indeed, Alap implemented new strategies and changes within the company, but these also brought about some consequences. On his first day as CEO, Stephen Alop called a mandatory company meeting with no cameras or recordings allowed. During his speech, Alop discussed how Apple had truly revolutionized the market, and he further commented on Symbian not being a competitive system when compared to other operating systems like Android and iOS. Moreover, he mentioned how Nokia was slow in terms of product development and innovation, emphasizing the necessity to rebuild Nokia's leadership in the market once more. Although there was a ban on recording the meeting, with security guards present to prevent this from occurring, Alop's speech still ended up being leaked to the public, harming the brand's image more. Due to this leak, the public discovered that Nokia was actually experiencing a significant crisis. This situation had a negative effect on its sales and reduced the confidence of its shareholders. Nevertheless, Alop was not concerned about this. He was aware that with Nokia being in crisis, it would be possible for him to introduce his changes without difficulty at the upcoming Nokia board meeting, which was scheduled to occur just a few days later. One of the significant changes he proposed was that Symbian should no longer be the operating system for the brand's phones. His main question was which system should replace Symbian, as it was a crucial decision for the company's future. The most viable option seemed to be using the Android system, which was already widely used on other smartphones and was the biggest competitor to iOS. Nevertheless, Alop made the decision to use a different operating system, which would ultimately change Nokia's fate forever. He decided to opt for Microsoft's operating system, Windows Phone, which was specifically developed to compete against Android and iOS in the market. As per Alop's explanation, there simply wasn't enough time available to initiate negotiations with Google for the use of Android. This is precisely why Windows Phone emerged as the most practical choice, given his strong connection with Microsoft, where he had been employed previously. After the partnership between Nokia and Microsoft was officially established, it was decided that Nokia would provide the hardware and take charge of marketing, as well as research and development. Additionally, they committed to using the Windows Phone system exclusively. For this, Nokia was given billions of dollars by Microsoft. In February of 2011, Nokia made an announcement about the launch of its latest smartphones. In collaboration with Microsoft, these were the Lumia 800 and the Lumia 710, both equipped with a Windows 8 operating system. Nokia was very confident that these new smartphones, each with a unified operating system, would re-enter the competitive fray and successfully re-establish their name in the market once again. But that didn't happen, and things worsened for Nokia. Nokia's Lumia models, even though they had a single interface, ended up becoming so different that the public found it hard to adapt. Consumers were already accustomed to using Android and iOS, and the Windows Phone interface didn't appeal to the public, as it was quite different from other smartphone interfaces. Users struggled to navigate the phone and found it not very intuitive. While the system was still in the development phase, Microsoft insisted that Nokia use a single-core processor, while competitors used dual-core or quad-core processors. This was yet another significant problem for Nokia's new phones, as they were lagging far behind their competitors in terms of both speed and power. Furthermore, the phone offered very little storage capacity, had only a few applications available in its store, and lacked a front camera entirely. All these factors combined did not satisfy users, who consequently switched to other brands. In addition to all this, the fact that Nokia's new model was launched relatively late in the market meant that most people had already established their preference for other models by then. The Windows iPhone system, much like Android or iOS, was not up to par when compared to these, which led to Nokia's failure once more, with a cell phone that struggled to catch the attention of its customers. From November 2011 to April 2014, about 52 million Lumia units were sold. While this was a decent number, it was quite low compared to Samsung's, as the South Korean company sold the same amount in just 2 months. The failure in sales led to a significant loss. In the second quarter of 2011, which was the year the Lumia was launched, Nokia ended up losing approximately $523 million. This was in stark contrast to the previous year, where in the second quarter of 2010, they had a profit of $323 million. And a significant part of this failure was because of the decision to use Microsoft's system. Although Stephen Elop was the CEO of Nokia, he maintained strong connections with Microsoft and was adamant about implementing Windows on Nokia's smartphones, even though it wasn't necessarily the best option. During that period, Android had already established itself as a leading system in the market, and had Nokia chosen Android, their trajectory might have been completely different. Numerous Nokia board members believed that Alop was making decisions without consulting them, to the extent that the final decision on Nokia's partnership with Microsoft was made just the night before it was publicly announced. Several Nokia executives blamed Alop for the company's failure, attributing it to the partnership with Microsoft. Eventually, they started to doubt the loyalty and competence of Nokia's CEO. Before Alop took over as CEO, Nokia had a market share of 33% in the cell phone industry. However, in less than 5 years, this market share decreased dramatically to less than 3%. Furthermore, many people attributed a 62% decline in the company's stock, amounting to €5 billion to his leadership. Confronted with this disastrous situation, Alop decided to leave Nokia and went back to Microsoft in the year 2014. Right before that, in the year 2013, Microsoft had acquired Nokia's mobile devices division for a total of $7.2 billion. Consequently, Alop assumed the role of executive vice president of Microsoft's Devices and Services division, bringing along several leaders from Nokia. Although the partnership didn't benefit either party, Nokia bore the brunt of the impact. This was because Microsoft, being a large and stable company, was able to absorb the losses resulting from the Lumia's failure. Nokia was in a precarious situation even before smartphones hit the market, and the Lumia's failure only worsened things. In the year 2016, Microsoft sold the mobile division, which they had acquired from Nokia, for $350 million. Meanwhile, Nokia suffered a loss of €4.9 billion, lost its mobile devices division, and faced the exit of important executives. All these factors led Nokia to the verge of bankruptcy, and over the years, the majority of the public eventually forgot about the brand. When Nokia was facing failure, there was one division that stood out for its success and profitability, maintaining stability within the company. This was the Solutions and Networks Department, led by the executive director, Rajiv Suri. This particular sector played a crucial role in sustaining the rest of the company. Rajiv Suri had been with Nokia since 1990, and in 2014, he was appointed as the new CEO of the company. He held this position until the year 2020, guiding the company through challenging times. Immediately after assuming this position, Suri presented his comprehensive plans and strategies for Nokia's recovery to the council. In order to achieve this, he proposed significant cost reductions and a substantial downsizing of the company. Suri was well aware that Nokia had strong capabilities in the field of software technology, and he intended to leverage this to transform the company into a leader in technology. His primary goal was to ensure the company's stability. In this time frame, there was a significant lack of trust in Nokia, and it was crucial for the company to restore confidence, particularly among its shareholders. To achieve this, Suri strategically utilized the funds obtained from selling the mobile devices division. He spearheaded a substantial buyback of Nokia shares, which effectively reduced the number of shares available on the market. This action, in turn, enhanced the value of the remaining shares. Suri was convinced that it was essential for the shareholders to have faith in the company, as this was a vital step in executing the remainder of his strategic plan. After that point, Nokia decided to start heavily investing in its fresh strategy. In the year 2015, they went on to acquire the multinational company Alcatel-Lucent. This company was involved in telecommunications, networks, and services, and the acquisition cost Nokia around $16 billion. The reason behind this acquisition was that Alcatel-Lucent owned Bell Labs, a renowned company in industrial research and scientific development. Bell Labs is one of the most prestigious research and development laboratories in the field of telecommunications and boasted ownership of more than 29,000 patents. Suri's vision was to invest in something far more substantial, a groundbreaking technology that could potentially rescue Nokia's business, 5G, the cutting-edge technology for both mobile and broadband networks. Their ambition was to lead the way as pioneers in this technological advancement. This time around, they couldn't afford to be behind, as they had been with smartphones. They were determined to be significantly ahead of their competitors. However, it wasn't just Nokia that was pouring resources into 5G technology. Other companies, like Ericsson and Huawei, were competing in the race and had networks that were larger than Nokia's. However, in 2018, following many years of investment and dedicated research, Nokia revealed its most significant breakthrough, the ReefShark chipset. This innovation was designed to optimize the processing of data generated by 5G. It promised to bring about notable reductions in size, cost, and energy consumption for operators' networks. Nokia's new development aimed to significantly increase the capacity of mobile phone towers in large megacities to efficiently send and receive data. Furthermore, the ReefShark has increased its data capacity to a remarkable 84 GB per second. Previously, the chips were only capable of processing 28 GB per second. It also reduced energy consumption by an impressive 64%, which makes it significantly more cost-effective. Suri's strategy was to shift the target audience. Rather than marketing products directly to consumers, Nokia would focus on selling to other technology companies. Alongside the announcement of its new 5G chip, Nokia also revealed a partnership with Japan's largest telecommunications company, NTT Docomo. Nokia has also begun providing services to large corporations such as AT&T, the well-known American telecommunications company, and Vodafone, the British multinational mobile operator. In the year 2020, Nokia successfully secured over 100 commercial agreements aimed at expanding the 5G coverage for various mobile phone service operators across multiple countries, including TIM here in Brazil. By the year 2024, this number had grown to more than 300 commercial agreements. Today, Nokia holds 29% of the 5G market outside China. Investments and restructuring have helped Nokia recover. In the year 2013, a year before Suri took over as CEO, Nokia's revenues were less than $6 billion. After the changes he implemented, in the year 2023, Nokia's revenue reached almost $22 billion. Even though he is not the current CEO, it is because of his strategies that Nokia has managed to get back on its feet and remain active in the market. For the very first time in 17 years, the company has successfully managed to achieve stability. Suri's long-term vision, along with his focus on financial stability, have enabled Nokia to not only survive, but thrive. Today, it boasts a market value of about $26.9 billion. Even though many believed that Nokia had gone bankrupt, it remains active in the market. However, it now operates in the telecommunications technology segment, providing mobile, fixed, and cloud networks, among other services for various other companies. However, you might have already come across some phones with the Nokia brand. This is because HMD Global has acquired the rights to use the Nokia brand for producing smartphones, and they pay royalties for utilizing Nokia's patents. Moreover, they have established a partnership with Nokia to access technology for connection components. In other words, Nokia is currently concentrating on providing technological products and services to other businesses, such as 5G technology. HMD uses the Nokia brand for its phones, but plans to launch its own line soon. Nokia phones might vanish. Did you know Nokia is still around or thought it was bankrupt? Share in the comments. Open a Nomad account now.